Hi, this is Cheryl St.Pierre. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this little copper intrigue pendant. And the reason I'm making this is I made the tutorial for the standalone bail, and I had my little doodle of copper that I turned into a pendant on the video, and it was suggested that I should do a tutorial of it. And I was actually thinking about it myself, that it is kind of cute, and so I've made another one since, and they definitely look better when they're oxidized and buff, but you will see that for yourself. So what you will need to do is make yourself one of these little standalone bails ahead of time to add on to your pendant, because I'm just showing you this portion to make today. So what you're going to need for supplies is you're going to need 20 gauge, which is 0.8 millimeters soft copper wire, and I use raw copper. You're going to need 16 inches of it, which is 40 centimeters. I should have it so that you can make yourself here. There you go. Print your screen. And I'm just moving my camera a little bit. I was a little bit off there. Okay, so, and you're going to need your standalone bail made ahead of time. And here is the link to that tutorial. It's going to be in the description, so you can just click on it there. And you're going to need 3 4mm beads. Now, I've used bicones, and I recommend a darker color. I've got gold under this one, and I've got black hematite finish under this one. Today, the one we're going to make, I'm using a dark red that has a bit of AB on it, just to give it a little bit of glimmer, because we just want the beads. We don't want the beads to be the highlight of this little pendant. It's actually the copper that's the highlight. And then we just want a little bit of glimmer of bead glistening through every so often. So it just gives it, that's why I call it the intrigue, copper intrigue. And so that's what I'm using today. Of course, you could use semi-precious beads if you wanted. Turquoise would look nice shining through there. I use 3 beads, but we really only see the top 2. So the bottom one's kind of hidden. Okay, and for tools, you're going to need your round nose pliers, your chain nose pliers, your flesh cutters, and your ruler. So that's all that there is to it. So the first thing I'm going to get you to do is take your ruler and your 16 inches of wire, and we're going to bend it at 7 inches. Now, I've got a little bit extra wire here because I wanted you to have the license of creativity, to have a little bit extra just in case you made your loops bigger than mine, because there's nothing worse than not having enough wire, and I'm sure some of you know that already. So I'm bending it there, and now I'm making a small loop, same size I would for an earring or ear wire. And we're going to wrap it 3.5 times. Rather, 2.5 times. Because we want it to be on the right hand side. This part's going to be hidden, and I want this to be kind of hidden too. So I'm making this a little shorter. So that's 2.5 times. So this is what it looks like at the front, and the wire's actually sitting behind the back on the right hand side. And at this point, I am going to put my 3 beads on. So the beads are going to go on the wire that's going down. Oops, I'm going to snip this off. It must have a little bit of a bend right at the end. The bead doesn't want to go on. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this wire around on the right hand side, and we're going to it's just hugging it on the side. You could do it at the back, but I chose to do it this way. And I'm going to wrap it around once and then a second time so that it's, there we go. There we go. Okay, and it kind of bent on me. I'm going to straighten that out, and it's spread out. I want to squish that up. So I'm going to take, that's being difficult to squish up. I don't want to break any beads because they're glass. Wiggle it. There we go. Now I got it. Okay, and I'm bending this. So rule of thumb is this wire's on the right side. We're making these wires go on the left side. Okay, so now the next step is we're going to take it up and we're going to make a clockwise swirl right there, basically over top of that bottom bead. And we want it to look fairly neat. It's only going to peek through, but part of it is going to show, so we do want it to look nice. And now we want to have a nice pretty curve going on the left side of the pendant. So you don't want it to kink, so you're going to guide it to be a beautiful rounded curve like that. And we don't want to crowd, we want airspace. This is about airspace. So you don't want it right beside the beads. And sometimes the wires will be where they flip, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they can have a space. Each one will have its own unique beauty. Okay, so when you have it the way you want it, support it so that you can bend it around the base of the loop there. Okay, and now, and see, and now it held its shape. Okay, yours might look different than that, but it's going to look similar. And now we want to come to the front, and we want to go fairly tightly around that there. We don't want it big, we want it fairly close. And now we're going to make a loop here. Now this loop could be a little bit to the side, it could be directly in front. Each one will be slightly different. This one's further to the right. This one, actually, yeah, I think this one's more in the center, but it still is to the right. It's probably going to end up being at the right. I like it at the right myself, but that would be a personal preference, definitely. Okay, and now I've pushed it down. I see that my loop is twisted. I'm going to fix that right now and make those two loops parallel to each other. Okay, and now I want to very carefully bend this and bend it around, kind of having a S shape, but I want it nice and airy again. So I'm making it go out further. And then I'm using my thumb to make that curve. And both thumbs actually. Okay, so I really want an exaggerated curve at that point. And now we're going to do another loop over top of this loop, but only partially. We want it to be further to the right. And since I have it upside down, it's actually my left, but that's just because of the way my hands are. And so kind of like that. And I'm going to bring it more like that. Now, with my other one, I made a bigger loop. This one's smaller. And now we're going to tuck it in the back. And that's where it's nice having the extra wire too, is it gives you a handle to work with. And you're not fighting it. And this is what's going to hold it all together. Is we're going to go in the back. Whoops, sorry, I took it out of screen. We're going to go in the back. So it's like this, and I went to the back. And now I'm going to snip it off here. And we're going to tuck it in to that first loop. Now I don't know if you could see that. I'm going to pull this open. This is the back end. That's that first loop. We're going to use that as an anchor for our wire. And I'm going to give myself a good centimeter, a little bit less than ½ an inch of wire to work with there. So I'm going to snip that off at that point. Take my chain nose pliers and take one of them and bend it like this and tuck it into that loop as an anchor like that. See, I tucked it right in, and I'm tucking this one in too. And when we do this, because we're doing them separate, it can spread that front loop open, which is actually prettier. I'm hoping it did. It didn't. It maybe did a little bit, but I really like the way my black ones split apart. It really split apart. So each one, like I said, is unique. The wire has a mind of its own. I wish it would have spread out even more. I should have made it more exaggerated, because when I pulled the wire in there, it kind of closed it in. But like I said, each one's unique. It's still pretty. I just personally like it when it's wider. This one's nice and wide. Okay, that one's more long. It's still pretty. It's still definitely pretty. And that's all there's to making this lovely little copper doodle pendant. The copper intrigue pendant is what we're calling it. So the next thing I would do is I would oxidize it in my ammonia container that I made a tutorial on long time ago, because I like to use fumes of ammonia to do my oxidization. And then after I've got it fairly dark, it probably takes me, the way my ammonia is right now, but it takes about ½ an hour to darken. And then I buff it to get the highlights, and I usually put the bale on it at the same time or the bale to get oxidized, so that they can both be dark. And so I'm going to just quickly put on this bale. And there it is. So it's got that movement. And it really is pretty. Well, okay, thank you for joining me in this video. Please like my video, share my video, comment on my video. And I had a lady mention that if you make a playlist on your account, that it will generate my videos too. I'm not sure how it works, but anything that you can do to help me, I appreciate that. And I also would love you to subscribe and think about joining my memberships for my retired videos, as well as my tips and tutorial videos. I think the best value for your money is the retired videos, because you get the tips and technique tutorials in there. And my oxidization video is one of those tips. So, okay, have a great day, and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.